Good morning, it's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the morning 14 First Alert stream show we do here every day at 8:30. We'll start off with a look at your forecast and then we'll transition over to a look at your news headlines for the day. So let's get started here with a look at our weather headlines. And starting out this morning, we have some patchy areas of fog that are beginning to lift now that the sun is out. Will remain mostly sunny to partly cloudy as we go through the afternoon, very similar to what we saw yesterday. Summer heat will continue to build here as we go through the rest of this week and into the weekend, and it looks like we'll have some more showers on the way as we get into next week, as a frontal boundary will be nearing the region. Originally yesterday it looked like it would cross through, but now it looks like models are a little bit weaker with it today. So we'll continue to watch that and see how it trends. But right now temperatures are hanging out mostly into the mid 70s. 75 here in Evansville, 77 in Grayville, and around 76 down towards Henderson. So fairly comfortable, but it's the humidity that is making it feel a lot worse. So stifling dew points are well into the 70s, 72 degrees right now. So it definitely feels sticky. It is that air you can wear. However, it shouldn't get hot enough to where we see that heat advisory or the oppressive heat and humidity that we saw just last week and the week before. But looking at our visibility, when we have higher dew points and temperatures that are pretty close to the actual dew point temperature, we get some areas of fog. So still slightly reduced visibilities here in the Evansville area, around 8 miles, 7 there in Huntingburg, but everywhere else seems just fine. And that should be kind of improving here very quickly as that sun is up. But tracking out anything on our radar, not really seeing much in terms of rain, and we should stay pretty dry as we go through the day today. High pressure still having an influence on our pattern here. Even through the weekend, we should stay mostly dry. Again, our next best chance for showers doesn't really arrive until we get into next week. So what can we expect for today? Temperatures will warm all the way back up into the lower 90s. A stray storm can't be completely ruled out, but again, really not expecting a very high chance of that. And then tonight will stay mostly clear, and again, some patchy areas of fog may develop with those dew points and those actual air temperatures getting really close, dropping into the mid to upper 60s. But overall, looking at our weekend forecast, it's looking pretty good. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, mostly sunny skies. Temperatures will hang out in the lower 90s there, and of course the humidity is going to make it feel a little bit stickier. But those heat index values not looking too bad. I'll break those down in just a moment. But looking at our rain chances, staying pretty quiet here Saturday, Sunday, and all the way into Monday. And then that frontal boundary will start to work its way in from the north as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. So here's what that looks like on the European model. Saturday showing nothing, same thing there Sunday and into Monday. But if you look off to the northwest, you'll see some of that rain beginning to work its way in, and that will finally push into the area by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. But you can see it kind of falls apart, and it wasn't as strong and promising as it looked yesterday. But we may generally just see more shower chances increase towards the second half of next week. And looking at our Climate Prediction Center outlook for precipitation, with that chance for a few showers, and again, any one of them could be fairly heavy, we have that slight chance for at least above average precipitation, but most of us will likely round out to near normal. But looking at temperature, we'll continue to rise there all the way up into the 90s through the middle of August. So it doesn't really look like summer's going away anytime soon. We had a little taste of fall this past weekend, so hopefully you were able to enjoy that. But here's a look at that temperature trend. Our average high sits around 89 degrees, so temperatures in the lower 90s aren't completely out of the ordinary there. And then you'll see once that frontal boundary starts to get a little bit closer, that'll increase our shower and storm chances for the middle of next week, and that will help take the temperatures down by a few degrees, but again, not as oppressive at all as what we saw last week. And here's a look at that dew point trend. It looks like we'll remain in that muggy category through this weekend and all the way into next week. And looking at our heat index forecast, it shouldn't be too bad. We'll remain with those feels like temperatures into the mid to upper 90s, at least through tomorrow, and then maybe nearing 100 over the weekend. But again, heat advisory levels are 105 or greater, so we're not really reaching that, and we're not really seeing triple-digit heat index values for several days in a row. So we're not anticipating any sort of heat alert with that. But here's a look at some other things that are beginning to heat up here across the globe, and that is the tropics. The Atlantic hurricane season now starting to get closer to its peak. We usually peak with the frequency of storms generally towards the end of August and into the beginning of September. September. We're starting to get into the climbing action there of tropical storm season. We've already had a few. We have one out there right now, Tropical Storm Dexter. That's all the way up into the North Atlantic. Wind speeds are hanging out at around 50 miles per hour sustained, but that'll be jogging off to the northeast at around 18 miles per hour and gradually weakening as it moves over the cooler water there. But looking at our tropical outlook across the Atlantic basin, there are a couple of areas that the National Hurricane Center is kind of monitoring. A couple of waves moving off the coast of Africa, and then one of those expected to maybe have a better chance of developing a little bit later on down the road. That 40% chance there is where we could see some storm development. So we'll be keeping a close eye on all of that for you. But looking at our 7-day forecast for the next several days, again, looking beautiful as we head towards this weekend. Not really much of an issue other than it just being a little bit more typically hot and humid compared to last weekend when it was really refreshing. Our next best chance of showers don't really arrive till the middle of next week as a frontal boundary tries to work through, but we'll keep an eye on that depending on its strength. Maybe it'll push through and give us a nice little cool down. If not, we'll just end up seeing a little bit more of a rainier weather pattern. But that is all I have here for the forecast, so I'm going to go ahead and hop off the live stream here, but don't go anywhere just yet. Mitch will be here to break down your news headlines for the morning.
Stay informed on your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices.
Hello, good morning, and thanks for joining us here for the news portion of our 8:30 stream show. I'm Mitch Carter. Getting right into it here with Kentucky schools heading back into session. We've got a new law here to talk about in regards to how teachers and students interact. Going to pull this video up for you here of some classroom stuff. We're talking about Senate Bill 181. As reported over the past few months here, teachers can no longer call or text students directly. Now they must go through an approved site like Google Classroom or Parent Square. Each school district in Kentucky is tasked with choosing which communication system they want to use, so go ahead and make sure you check your district's website before you send the kids off to school there. And one of the #1 questions into our newsroom lately is, why are some CenterPoint bills so high? As the utility company announced back in June, the format of bills is now showing more of an itemized list of charges. Jamie French got the chance to sit down with CenterPoint officials and ask why the bills are higher and why they look different, so here's her story.
CenterPoint Energy officials say this new bill layout has a clearer breakdown of monthly charges, so customers can better understand how their bills are calculated. I spoke with Mike Rader, the Senior Vice President of External Affairs for CenterPoint Energy, to get a better understanding. Rader says the new bills do not add new charges. Those are now just labeled under 4 organized groups.
There's a customer facilities charge, which is kind of the cost to serve a home or business.
According to CenterPoint's website, this charge is a standard $11 per month. That's the cost of having electric hooked up to your home.
Then there's the variable base charge, and that's based on the amount of energy consumed, and that will go for things like buildings and people and pipes and wires.
That's how much energy you are using inside your home, plus the cost of delivering that electricity to your house.
Then there's the fuel charge. So that's the cost that we would pass through for the cost of coal, the cost of natural gas.
That's the cost of firing the power plants.
And then there's another bucket called adjustments, and that has a number of moving pieces in there, things like federally mandated investments that we've had to make.
Now, these charges come from the government. They stem from EPA regulations. For example, the charge goes to the cost of equipment that's used to control pollution at the local coal firing facilities. After the four categories, there is a standard 7% Indiana state sales tax. Again, Rader says these four categories are not new charges on customers' bills. I calculated one Evansville customer's prior bill. I added up the electric and service charges based on the number of kilowatts of electricity used. That total was roughly $100 less than what the customer was billed. $100 difference is really just the fuel charges and adjustment charges. Rader says customers just couldn't see that detailed breakdown until now on this new bill format. The only real difference in the two bills is the amount of energy used, resulting in a higher payment, which Rader says is likely due to the heat wave.
Coming off of the billing cycles that we're in right now is the 30-plus day of 90-degree heat and humidity that we've had in Southwest Indiana. Definitely driving bills higher than what people saw in June for sure.
And while this breakdown there might not answer exactly why bills are high right now for customers, it's a start to understand what's changed. For a closer look at how CenterPoint bills compare to other nearby and to those across the country, you can visit 14news.com. And shifting gears here, back to some back-to-school coverage here, this time talking about college. UE adding a logo now to a busy underpass. We'll pull this video up for you here. Work's underway at the intersection of Weinbach and the Lloyd there, just underneath the expressway. The walls have been cleaned. The first layer of paint is down, as you can see right there. Cracks are being filled. We know Turpin's Painting has been contracted here to paint the university's official logo on both the east and west-facing walls. Officials saying, in theory, it'll help spread a little bit of Purple Ace pride.
We love being involved with the university. Anything we can do to help out or give back to our community. It's not just being, as I always say, it's not just providing a service, but being of service to our community. So anything we can do to help out and see projects like this come together, something that people are going to drive by and see for years to come, it's huge.
Well, Turpin's Painting owner Chad Turpin, you just heard from there, hopes to have the mural finished up here within the next 2 weeks, and that would be just in time for the start of the next school year. So that's pretty much what we got here this morning. You know how this thing goes already. 8:30 stream show, do some weather headlines, then some news headlines. As far as this week goes, I'm going to go ahead and pull this graphic off of here as we wrap this up. Talking a lot about back to school, right? Indiana's back. A lot of Kentucky schools went back today. We had Leslie Chapman live for us all morning long here on 14 News Sunrise. She's done a great job for us all week filling in there. She'll have more on that coming up tonight on 14 News. And of course, we'll have 14 News at 11 and 12, followed by another stream show at 2:30 before our evening shows at 4, 5, 6, and 10. To those who joined us this morning, really appreciate it. We see a couple comments there saying good morning. Good morning to you guys. Right now, it is 8:43. That's going to do it from here on the 8:30 stream show. Have a great rest of your day, and we see you bright and early tomorrow morning for your Friday. Take care.